And we are back. It is 4-1, and the weather is beautiful. I actually don't know what the weather is this game, so I shouldn't have done that bit, but we're back.
We're back just in time to see some roll down from Knickknack. Looking to play a board where he can kind of curate this augment here. It was gold, which is 75% of a hero augment here and 25% chance of a gold. So we're going to see, either a laser core or sure shot augment here. Probably not a civilian augment. The only thing it could be is Janna, which is random. So good curation. He could either hit a Zed augment here, maybe Samira, or even a Senna one if he decides to play Senna carry with these threats, which is definitely possible. And like we know about Knickknack, he's looking to top 4, which is very viable with this comp.
Absolutely. And so it's looking like, well, he did slam the Ionic Spark here, so it looks like he's wanting to reduce MR, trying to stay in this laser core angle, trying to really lean into that, and hoping that he's going to get a good laser core hero augment here, which we're going to see Samira, Zed, and Asol. Very interesting augment choices here.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up taking the Zed one. Contempt for the Weak is pretty solid. It's the support augment, I believe, and it provides a good amount of attack speed overall to the team on kill. And Style and Flare is also amazing. It's a fantastic augment, and it saw some great play yesterday in the AML, and I actually noticed that yesterday someone played it, and he looks to actually take it here and transition just to playing sure shots.
Yeah, and I was going to say he has perfect Samira items currently, and so this kind of pivot here looks like it's going to be really beneficial for him. He has a good threat frontline setup. He has a good he has Belveth pair, he has Zac pair, he has everything he needs for a really successful sure shot game. All he has to do is hit the units, get to level 8 with enough health and money to find everything he needs, and it's going to be smooth sailing from here, except for the fact that he's playing against Keens right now, who rolled down at level 8, found a Nunu, found a Leona, has a Belveth, looking to end Knickknack's streak right here.
Yeah, and I think he will, just because that's a Samira too, and a Belveth with Back for Blood. One of the highest performing augments that we've seen so far this patch. Belveth was buffed, and this augment is still fantastic. And Back for Blood is something that we are going to see a lot if it's offered. Pretty much anyone who gets it will take it if you have any sort of AD items. Even a Jeweled Gauntlet works well with it, seeing as you don't really need that Gunblade if you have it. It's still very solid though.
One of the most interesting things to me so far in the short time I've been commentating is being able to watch these players' perspectives and seeing them do things that I'm like, why would he have done that? And so I had to come up with a reason why they would have done that. And so thinking about why he sold the Renekton why he didn't sell the Renekton instead of the Belveth is really interesting. It seems like he wants to keep leaning into that laser core angle here, try to get that Renekton 2 for extra frontline with laser. However, this fight is looking like it might be another loss for him, which is not good, as he wants to hit that 50 threshold here. The Rammus is in the back trying to hit everything. This other Rammus is just scooting his way back to the back line. Samir's getting a lot of ace procs though.
Wow.
Looks like Samir's going to actually close it out. Steal around. Knickknack celebrating there to his chat. Looks like we got another ace steal here from Samira.
Yeah, that was an amazing round from Samira. She kind of just sure-shotted and scaled up until her ult, and then just washed away an entire team. And one thing I noticed, and I think that you pointed out, is that he kept laser coring instead of Belveth. I think what he was maybe thinking, and this is just a guess, is he slammed this Spark, and it's probably stronger to have some magic damage rather than Belveth, who is just mostly AD as well. And with Spark, laser core drones can actually do a lot. It's basically like keeping electro charge in on your team, right?
Absolutely.
And as we get a look at some other boards, Knickknack is noticing the whole lobby has kind of spiked, whereas he's still sitting on his Samira 1. And now he's going to have to roll a bit here. It looks like he's sitting and rolling at 7, or just waiting till 6-1 to send it.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's wanting to get as much money as he possibly can before trying to send it. I don't think he's in a spot where he needs to panic too much, especially after that last round that he managed to squeak out a win. I think he's going to be seeing a lot of either close wins or close losses, which is exactly the spot that he wants to be in.
Yeah, except against some of these boards. I
Except
mean,
against Nyla 3.
Nyla 3, Echo 2. As we get to see Trade's board, he's actually fleshed it out. He had that amazing opener with so many 3 costs that he got for this recon comp, and then he hit double trouble, an extremely strong thing in the Kaisa comp as he just washes away Nick Knack's board.
All right, as I said, commentator's curse. Looks like we're gonna be getting hit by the double trouble Nyla 3 Echo 2 Kaisa combination there. That is just going to immediately demolish Nick Knack's board. So we're back to Trade here, who is looking to keep upgrading his board. Just kind of casually rolling at level 7, trying to econ back up to 50 so that he can roll above that threshold. He's in a pretty good spot right now, though.
Yeah, and one thing I'd like to note about this Kaisa board, something that I kind of learned from playing it a bit yesterday, as well as from watching some streams of like Keens and Ramen Blitz playing this comp, is that if you are contested or contesting someone else, whoever is higher HP in the end is going to win. The thing about it is, if you can stay alive longer so that these other Kaisa players get killed, you have the opportunity to hit all of them and win out. I mean, this comp is extremely strong once you have this Kaisa 3 upgrade and some upgraded frontline, which he's already actually hit. And he's fighting Keens here and just destroying him.
Absolutely. Trade is just a really good spot here. Keen's getting down to his last life, maybe 2 lives if he's lucky. So very precarious spots for Keen's and Kranos here. The lobby HP is looking close. Other than that, though, there's only a 19-point difference between 1st and 6th right now. So the range is not that big.
Yeah, the range is not that big. We see Volga the hamster streaking at 36. I wonder what he's playing exactly. I think that might have been the Laser Core Belveth 2 that we quickly saw as we transitioned from board to board. And I'm intrigued as to what Trade wants here as his item. Probably an attack speed item, seeing as he got the bow. Might go for a Rage Blade here. It kind of looks like he might here, or go for JG, seeing as he's only playing that 2 recon. So either are good options here. I'm excited to see which one he'll choose.
Absolutely, and it looks like he's trying to find something that will spike him here, either Kaisa, a Vayne, just something. So we'll see how much gold he decides to roll down here. It kind of just depends what he hits and when he hits it. I think that looks like that's going to be enough for him here, for him to decide to stop rolling. Looking at some other opponents, I saw a Talia board with an Urgot on it. I see Belveth, see Zoe, there's a Sejuani augment with Samira. So we're moving into this particular fight against Anox. It is the board-wide stun from Sejuani into the Urgot wave. This Nyla is doing her best to heal up the front line, but she is going to go down. The Samira looking to pick up where she is leaving off with the sure shot scaling, acing everything in her path, and Trade takes the loss there.
Yeah, it's a very strong board from Anox, kind of just a standard board that wiped this double trouble Kaisa board. Once Kaisa hits that 3-star frontline, will go through, get killed a bit quicker, and I think eventually Trade can win it if he does hit these 3 stars and he finds Vayne as I say that. So he's getting stronger and stronger, whereas the lobby has kind of hit their cap until they go 9. So if Trade can get maybe one more 3-star online, this Kaisa, I think he has a great shot to win the game.
Absolutely, and especially if he's able to get this Vayne even slightly itemized, just having the extra source of damage there. Manages to move potentially into the path of a Talia ult here. We'll see what Super Flames is doing with this comp. Looking to, nice little zoom in on the dead Kaisas from the one shot that the Talia delivered to the back line. Nyla keeping the front line alive. Talia says, I don't really care about that. I can just ult straight to the back line. The Vaynes are doing their best. Is it going to be enough? The Janna Tornado into Talia ult? Nope, that seals the deal, and Trade takes another loss here, and he is reeling from these losses, trying to figure out if I hit Kaisa 3, is that even going to be enough against a board like that?
Yeah, that was so exciting. I haven't seen a Talia do so much since that first patch. So I'm glad to see, when you high roll, she can be pretty good. And, I think high rolling for that comp is hitting that Star Guardian emblem, and getting a good start off. If you can not bleed till you hit that Talia 2, that 5-star Guardian, you're in a great spot. And it looks like he was able to.
Very interesting shop here. He's wanting the Samira too. He's wanting the Aphelios, but if he sells the Alistar, he is giving up the potential Ox Force that he would need for the Aphelios, and so he is opting to just lock the shop here and hope that he is able to be healthy enough to move into the final few rounds. But it's looking that like that Urgot CC with the Sejuani on the other side is going to be very harmful. Sejuani gets another ult off. Samira is just doing a lot of work in the back line, but they are ripping everything to shreds. It's going to come down to Samira versus Samira. Actually, I lied. It's going to come down to Sivir versus Samira, and Sivir is going to just deliver a fatal pizza to end Volga the Hamster's win streak.
I'm going to say something here, Dan. I might be caster cursing Knick-Knack, but I think he is going to win this game. I think he has those two fiddles. He's about to have Aphelios. And he's also got that Samira too with Style and Flare. I think that augment is insane when you have this spot now. And once you have 4 sure shot, he's just going to rip through teams. I don't see how. Yeah, I don't see how anyone can beat his board after this next turn once he puts in that Alistar and that Aphelios. It's really going to be interesting to see if anyone will be able to.
Yeah, Alistar, Aphelios, Zephyr, he's just getting everything in right here. Where the Alistar is going to go? Oh, it just goes in over a fiddle. Got it. That answers my question. Now we are back to Trade, who is on his last life. Lost the fight before this, looking to hopefully stay in the game with Kaisa 3, Vayne 3, Nyla 3. Will it be enough against either Kranos, Volga, or Knick-Knack? Hopefully not Knick-Knack for his sake, because Knick-Knack just spiked.
I was going to say, hopefully Kranos. This is probably the best time to fight Kranos here. He hasn't procced Last Stand. And so this is probably the best time he could fight him. If he fights him the turn after, I'm pretty sure he is guaranteed dead. Let's see if he can take down this Aphelios too, though.
Oh, man. Okay, so it's looking like they made it to the backline. The Aphelios 2 does not get the Ox Force proc, and Kranos gets his Last Stand proc. All right, so the lobby HP is just insane at this point. With 1 HP, 8, 9, 13, 14, 18, 18, 20. And so everything is within a 20-point range from first to last. It's anyone's game at this point.
Yeah, and we just saw on the right that King just hit a Nunu 2, has Belveth 2 with Back for Blood, Leona 2, as we just saw Trade look at. Everyone's boards are pretty strong. It's really going to come down to just positioning here, I think, and finding these angles to avoid sedge ults. This Vayne has a QSS, so really a great positioning from Trade here, I believe. Can Knick-Knack with this Style and Flare actually take down a capped Kaisa 3 comp?
We're about to find out. It looks like... Oh, the Samira gets CC'd in the back. I don't know if she's going to be able to actually clean up here. Looks like the backline between the two has to decide it between themselves, and Trades was just a little bit stronger here.
And it looks like I did, in fact, caster curse Knick-Knack.
You actually caster cursed Knick-Knack into a 7th place with Kranos taking Kranos was the Last Stand, so Kranos with an Aphelios 2 goes 8th.
Wow.
You might have actually caster cursed that too. Actually, no, we weren't live when we were talking about that.
No, I think I did just caster curse both of them. With Kranos, I saw that Last Stand, that Aphelios too, and I was like, wow, who is beating that? But it did have a TG on it, I think. And if it was a bad roll, that really is all it takes to beat that Aphelios. If it gets you tank items instead of, I don't know, an IE and a Runans, then you're really not looking great.
Absolutely. If you hit like a ZZ Rot, I don't know what else, a Warmogs, Aphelios, you're kind of in a tough spot there.
Yeah, and is that an Ornn item that it just gave? Kind of looks like it.
It kind of looks like it. The shiny anvil.
Yeah, so he might be getting an Ornn item on this Vayne, or an Ornn item on that second Kaisa. Kaisa has I think 4 Ornn items that are great for her. Unfortunately, none of those are one of them.
But these are all great choices. Eternal Winter's really good against auto attack comps like Samira. Rocket Propel Fist could put some fear into other players' minds. But it looks like to take Rocket Propel Fist, try to cheese a little bit of a blitz hook here. Ends up putting Zoe in at 8 for Prankster. Good decision there. Wants to pull in the Vel'Koz. That's probably a good choice.
Probably a good choice because Zoe is just going to Prankster away anyway.
Absolutely.
Whereas, now this Vel'Koz that was going to CC your Kai'Sa the whole round is dead. And now you can go through and you can just slowly take down the rest of this comp. This Zoe, bubble damage is not going to do the most over time to Kai'Sa since she's healing up anyway. With that Morello, it's going to be tough though.
Yeah, and I think despite his best efforts, the Recons ran into a Bramble Eternal Winter, which is Recon Nightmare, and Zoe was able to burn everyone so they couldn't heal enough. So that fight ended up not going in Trade's favor there, but just enough to where he was able to stay alive, manages to squeak out a top 5, and there is single-digit HP almost entirely across the board. So we're going to see exactly where this goes. Decides to take the Blitz Hook off of, I think it was on Nyla last round, so that he can try to cheese it regardless of which side the opponent tries to put his units on.
I love this strategy from Trade as well, putting it on a unit on his bench so opponents have to right-click the unit to see it. It looks like Super Flames did in fact see it and position his Taliyah appropriately. And we'll have to see if this Taliyah one-shots Kai'Sa again.
Last time we saw this matchup, we got the dramatic zoom in as Taliyah one-shot the backline, but it didn't quite happen this time. Kai'Sa is dead, actually. Fiddlesticks in the backline trying to do his best to CC the rest of the Recons. Nyla gets back there, gets CC'd. Vayne just pew-pewing away, hopefully trying to steal a win here, but it is not looking good. Trade, a little unhappy here.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, he looks kind of upset. Unfortunately for him, this whole lobby is just unbelievably strong. You don't see very often on 6-2 these many strong boards, and that's a product of everyone having a good board and being alive. They have to play such strong boards to stay alive, and it looks like Keynes is starting to hit some crazy things. We're seeing on the sidebar Aphelios 2, he has Leona 2. That's a tough board to beat. That is a capped board, and I'm assuming he's level 9 to hit all these upgrades. He took known high roller Keynes.
Yeah, there's no level 9 here.
This is insane. He has Aphelios 2, Nunu 2, and Leona 2 all on 8. I know, we like to joke with Keynes a lot. We get to talk to him a lot. I'm definitely going to give him some flack after this game. About this, because often when I stream, he'll talk about me hitting Aphelios 2 on 8. So I finally get to go back at him.
Yeah, no. Keynes' board is what dreams are made of, almost literally. It looks like he might even get a double elimination here. Not cool. Oh yeah, it did. So Keynes eliminates all the competition in one fell swoop, takes a first place there, and that is the end of game 1.
Yeah, what a great game. Awesome to see everyone, kind of very similar HP. And the game had 8 players in it on 5-7 and ended on 6-5. It was a very close game with everyone dying within a span of 4 rounds. And it was very exciting to see.
Yeah, that game ended up just the tempo of that game just ramped insanely fast. It went from everyone's in the game at 5-6 to everyone's out of the game at 6-4. It was just in and out, just done. Everyone's just one life, just pew, pew, pew into a double elimination at the end, and Keynes just took it.
Yeah, and like we talked about a bit before, this game was 4-cost hero augments, so there was no reroll. A lot of Kai'Sa, and then a lot of sure shots. So stuff we talked about beforehand, placing well. I clearly that the sure shots ended up winning with that, all 5, basically a Jeff Bezos board. So it was pretty good. It was fun to see.
Absolutely, and I was actually genuinely very surprised to not see a single Viego board that game.
Yeah, I guess nobody early on hit that, that Renegade crest. that battle mage. Those are two really good indicators. And I think part of that is because that open carousel was belt tier glove. No one was hitting the spark. No one was hitting like the titans or the gunblade immediately. That would indicate like these are lines I can go on. And because of that, like nobody could really commit to Viego early on. There were only a couple players who were loose streaking. Maybe Keens could have, but for now, that's not what happened. Maybe we'll see some next game.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, with all of that happening this game, very interesting turnout, just insane. Looking forward to seeing what happens in game two. But before game two happens, we're going to take a short break and we will be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right, we are back. Hopefully, you listened to me and didn't go anywhere. For those of you that are hearing this, you did listen to me and didn't go anywhere, so thank you. But we are back for ACL Week 4, final week, Game 2. We're going to see what happens here, what the players are looking like in terms of points, and we are going to expect a really good game out of these players. Dot, what are you thinking we're going to see here?
I'm thinking we're going to see a couple new perspectives here. We're going to get to see some of Just Pain Only Pain, aka Mocha, and some of Super Flames, who we don't really know too much about in terms of how he played last game. I think we will see if he can go into that top 8 region and stay there after this week. He's so close. And I know he's an avid Keen's chatter, so he must be happy with how Keen's did, even though, he would like to have a good performance as well. I know he's vowing for his friend Keen's to hopefully make it into playoffs. Keen's getting that number 1, that first place last game, puts him in a good position. And I know we learned something pretty interesting about that last game from him during that break, Dan, if you want to share what we learned, I guess.
Yeah, we learned after the game that Keen's ended up swapping to mobile halfway through that game and ended up still getting first place while on mobile. So that was a really respectable gameplay. But it looks like the game is starting, so we're going to go ahead and just cut right into the action. The first carousel's already done. We get Super Flames' perspective, a Rod Wukong.
Yeah, so now we do have, we don't know exactly what happened on Carousel, but we do know that there were rods on Carousel. So that Viego line is a lot more accessible. That Spark, that Gunblade are possible. Instead, he's dropped a bow. So probably not going to look down that line unless, you had Titans here. Very flexible from the spot, of course, with that bow and that rod. You can always build a Gunblade and a Last Whisper. There's just a lot of different directions you can go with this opener, and I think Super Flames could be happy with it.
Absolutely, and we haven't seen a whole lot of rod taking at this point. I say that, but we had, glove belt tier last game, so I can't actually say much of anything on that.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I think you probably noticed the same thing as me, but dropped 3 gangplanks in this shop. I wonder if he's going to pick them up. He's guaranteed, I believe, 6 gold here, so he doesn't need to actually sell any units to buy that. Might also buy that Kale and that Silas to just keep his avenues open, that Kale being a second duelist. And we find out that the weather is actually windy here.
Absolutely. And so the weather being windy makes it to where Janna might not be the most optimal pick in a lot of situations, but having this early gangplank opens up for either a reroll comp or... Sorry, I was looking at these augments. Admin Heart, Cybernetic Implants, or Celestial Blessing goes with CB1, has a Yumi in shop.
Yeah, just a generically good augment there. You don't have to commit to anything still, and I don't think Super Flames is committed to anything. Probably not going to slam a Rage Blade. Maybe we'll slam some sort of like Spark here, but probably just going to play to strongest board, try and kill some units, and get Carousel Prio here.
Absolutely. And so it looks like he has a decent spot for Yumi, actually, if he wants to take it. But slamming the Spark leaves him open to either that or any other comp in the game. Basically, Ionic Spark is a very versatile item, but I think we're going to see him pivot to this Yumi angle if he gets enough of the units early on.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about this. I know, he has the supers already ready. I think the Yumi comp is a little reliant on augments and specifically hero augments. So I think, you need that channeled Ferromancy. Either of the Yumi augments are okay. The Zoomies or the Predatory Precision, it's not as good as it used to be. That channeled Ferromancy, that Rel augment is fantastic. Or either of the Nyla augments are both very good. And unfortunately, with that silver augment first, we only have a 40% chance of a hero augment on 3-2. So if that is the case, then Super Flames is in a great spot to play Yumi, already hitting 2 of them here.
And we see Just Pain Only Pain's perspective here after losing his first round to Super Flames, having a very nice laser core opener with Yasuo 2. So we'll see where he manages to go from here.
Yeah, I don't hate the lose one into, oh my god, I just hit a Yasuo 2. I guess I'm win streaking. One loss into 4 win is always solid. You want to try and put something together after this point. But that first win or loss is not the biggest deal. It actually can sometimes guarantee you one extra pick prio on carousel, which is very helpful. And let's see if this Yasuo 2 can actually get it done and win this round.
Manages to continue to have a lot of laser core action behind him, but if he loses this round by 1 unit, he will not be sad. 2 perfect losses in a row, just a phenomenal spot if he is able to continue down that road of either perfect losses or just transition to a win streak from here with this really solid early HP. So there's a couple of different routes that he can take here, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, really solid early HP. It looked like he was holding that Ezreal in case of hitting a Vi on that next shop. Getting in underground on 2-3 is still pretty solid. Afterwards, it loses a lot of value. You're not going to get a cash out until 3-2 most of the time. So really getting it online early would have been better. He just decides to get rid of that extra kill, have that extra glove where he wants to put it now, and just play around this laser core opener, maybe take another perfect loss if he can against Kranos, who is also 98 HP here.
So laser core, well, real quick, looks like almost another perfect loss, a 2-unit loss instead of a 1-unit loss, but we still take those. And so this laser core opener is going to afford just only playing a really solid ticket through the early and mid game, especially once he hits that 6 laser core threshold. That is an incredibly stable spot to be in for the mid game. So it looks like he has a really good spot from here in terms of where he wants to play. Grabs a spat off the carousel, maybe makes another laser spat, but it could be anything at this point.
Yeah, I don't think he's super committed to anything just yet. He does have that 3 laser core in. He does have that, I believe, laser core heart.
Yes.
So he is pretty easily going to be able to fit in 6 laser core at level 6, and that is a huge spike. You can quite easily hit that on 3-2, as long as you get that Ash. So we'll see if he can hit that pretty soon. Otherwise, in a solid spot, maybe could still lose in 2 more rounds and be above 80 health, which is kind of unheard of for loss streaking. So let's see if he can do that.
Now, one thing that I remember from AML at the very least is that I think there's a bounty for winning a game with 9 laser cores. So he might be trying to do a little bit of extra credit work here.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, and I don't even know if it's winning it. It might be, but getting 9 laser core automatically puts you in a good spot to win, right? That is an extremely strong and powerful chase trait, as long as you can go level 9, which you will have to. And with how hard 6 laser core stabilizes you, it's not really impossible to think of, right? You get to that 6 laser core and you just 10 streak from there. As long as you have it, you are not really losing. As long as you also have some sort of MR shred. And with that tier, he'll probably look to build a Shiv here.
And a Shiv would be extremely stable for him, especially on a unit like Ashe early on or Senna later. Just that shred of MR would be incredible, especially as he looks to build an aircraft carrier, 9 laser, whatever he decides to make with that spatula. If that's the route he decides to take, he's looking to continue his loss streak here, backlines his Blitzcrank 2, and in fact, not just backlines, he traps it back there. That Blitzcrank 2 cannot move unless these 2 units move up, which they do not, as their auto attack range is not gonna allow them to move up, so it should be a guaranteed loss there. Starts looking around at the other players. I say guaranteed loss.
I don't think it's a guaranteed loss.
I don't think it's a guaranteed loss anymore.
Honestly, I think Mocha was probably hoping he could have lost this round. I think putting himself in a better position to do so may have been just putting in that other Renekton 1, getting rid of Brawler, and trapping that Renekton 1 in instead of that Blitz 2, maybe even taking out the Yasuo 2 for a round. I think, going 4 loss into 1 win is maybe one of the worst things you can do in terms of trying to streak, right? I think 3 loss, 2 win is better. And I think even losing 12 HP on that 2-6, if you're so healthy, is not that bad. And unfortunately, we see him chatting, saying some things we can't really repeat on stream. But he knows he made a mistake there, and unfortunately, he hopefully won't get punished for it here, actually.
Yeah, and so it looks like he's going to be able to probably streak pretty well out of that win there, I think, especially if he starts trying to win. But now we have Nicknack's perspective, who has another Cho'Gath pair similar to, oh no, that was trade last game. But we do have a Blitz 2, a Renekton 2, and an Ashe 2 on the board. Incredibly stable looking position here. What do you think? Where do you think that he can take this board from here? It looks like he can go several different directions.
Yeah, I think he is looking incredibly flex right now. My guess with those items is probably Samira. The other option is he could still, pivot further into Laser Core, but he'd be contesting Mocha, Just Pain, Only Pain. Whereas, he has that GS, that Last Whisper, half of a Gunblade. He doesn't really have MR Shred just yet until he hits like Shiv. So I would imagine he's going to look to go into that line of trying to get a Samira. Interestingly enough, though, he only put in Brawler here for possibly a hero augment, a 40% chance, and he might end up having to pick one. He does not, though.
Oh, we do see a Recombobulator possibility. Decides to go into the Laser Core instead to potentially contest Just Pain, Only Pain. However, I still think that you're onto something in talking about how he might go the Samira route and try to not just fully be going deep into the Laser Core synergy as Just Pain, Only Pain would be. But we'll see. The 4 Brawler here looks pretty flexible from this spot.
Yeah, and it might be interesting to see exactly what he does here. Not having that Yasuo 2 that a lot of other people are getting online, it's going to be hard to hit that, and it's kind of actually very important in this comp later on. It depends on if he's going to decide to go vertical. Like you said, he might not go vertical Laser Core. He might just stick to like sure shots in the mid game, play around Senna with that Laser Core. And I think, it'll be interesting because of how many people are contesting. If some other players can go a different route, not play Laser Core here and avoid all these players together. Keen has a Deathblade, Shiv, Archangel's Kale on his board that's actually crushing Nicknack's board. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes as well.
Absolutely. Keen said, well, Kale is both hybrid AP and AD, so I'm going to lean into both. Why not both? He says as he ends Nicknack's streak, gives him a loss against a Cho'Gath 2, no less. And so we're going to see Nicknack kind of reevaluate his position here in terms of what he wants his board to look like. Goes off of the 4 Brawlers, says, screw that, I'm going back into lasers, and we are going to see what happens from here in terms of what units are being found. We see a Samira and a Zac on another board. We can see the ain't no way on his face as he repositions, and we are moving into yet another fight here.
Yeah, and he's fighting Super Flames here, who has pretty much committed fully to this Yuumi line. He is level 6, probably going to roll a bit at level 6, only 30 gold. I'm not sure how good I feel about this line. I don't know about you, Dan.
It's certainly it's certainly going to be a really tough line to run here, especially with 2 Laser Core players in the lobby. We saw that Cho'Gath run up and ult basically the entire board that fight, and so you have a lot of spots, a lot of players that you're playing against here that are in very good positions to make short work of your board if they stabilize way quicker than you do, which his spot is not looking particularly stable here.
Yeah, and we see on this carousel a Zed with a rod, so we know Nicknack is definitely going to take that. That gives him Gunblade, Last Whisper on his Zed if he wants it, and he can immediately play it, probably get in 6 Laser Core next turn with a roll down here. So we will definitely see Nicknack probably start to streak here on 3-5 into the next round. We'll see if Super Flames can find some good units, find some upgrades to actually help him stabilize.
There they are, just the upgrades he needed. He finds Rel 2, Yumi 2, manages to get a Nyla, which he will probably want to pop that sword off of at some point. Who knows? He might find a way to make that work, but I think at some point he'll be wanting to pop that item off of Nyla.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This comp no longer relies on Yumi having a blue buff or a GS. It relies completely on Nyla items and hitting Nyla 3. The insane amount of healing she provides for the whole team when you position like this just kind of is so strong. So you'll see here Nyla, if she casts, will heal up most of the team if she got her full cast off. But he might look to win here against Trade, who is kind of strong and has future sight.
Yeah, and so in that fight, we see that it didn't even matter if Nyla got that extra cast off. That the first cast that she got off and the redemption that she was offering the rest of the team was able to keep them alive just long enough to actually win that fight against Trade, who knew that Super Flames was coming because he took future sight and still was able to lose against that board. Super Flames was able to squeak out a win against Trade's board, who was not a weak player by any means. We still have that Kale too with Deathblade, Shiv, Archangel.
Yeah, I wonder where Keen's is going to go with that board. You know, he's playing on mobile. He might be a little dizzy. I know that feeling as I played on mobile for the last game of AML last week and went 8th. We won't talk about that too much. But Super Flames here is in a good spot. You know, he's 87 HP. He is, you know, in a position to actually, you know, maybe hit some of these major upgrades. Unfortunately, he won't be offered either a Yumi or Rel augment if it is a hero augment next stage, which it is guaranteed to be. Actually, it is 100% chance of a hero augment. So he's really hoping for some 3 costs so he can get some Nyla augments online. Otherwise, I don't really know how he can continue to play this board.
Absolutely, and a couple things here. I think Keen's is actually back to PC at this point. So if he's dizzy, he is at his keyboard while being dizzy, which, you know, many of us have experienced. So there's still a good amount of excuse there. However, one of the very interesting things about the state of this current game is that we haven't seen a hero augment yet, which particularly can be counterproductive to Yumi. I have found personally, because you could end up getting a 4 and 5 augment, a 4 and 5 cost hero augment, and you're just like, well, I guess I got a level for this, and what do you do from there?
Yeah, we'll see how much it affects these players. Let's see how many of these players actually know that it is a hero augment here. And Taylor, it looks like Trade has tailored perfectly already with 6 duelists and 2 hacker. It's the best chance to hit a Z augment here as he rolls down and maybe hopes to find that second Z at minimum to try and, you know, if he does get that Z augment, immediately keep those and get that you know, Z2 online.
I am really liking the double Zeke's play here. That Zed is going to come online really quickly as he zooms to the back, goes straight to that Kale, says, hey, you, come here, and just makes short work of the blue buff JG. Kale tries to do the same with the rest of the team, but that second win is going to make it really difficult. The Lee Sin's holding his own against the Zed, stalling for the rest of the team to finish off the backline before the Zed gets there. Zed makes it back just in time to finish off the Yasuo while the Vayne was shredding in the meantime. And Trade manages to take this particular fight with 2 units left standing.
It's interesting. Whoa. Okay.
All right.
I think we know which one he's taking. He's going to take that Z augment and run with it, maybe find the Z2 and be stable for probably all of stage 4 here.
And it's so helpful too, because I mean, as most people that are watching probably know, he's keeping the unit on the orb to increase the odds of finding another Zed to get that early Z2 online. And he's looking for a way to hopefully get the Sejuani on the board, but it looks like it's going to be a level 8 drop so that he can get an extra beefy frontliner that can CC the whole board potentially, and as well as laser core for that Zed.
Yeah, did you happen to notice, Dan, which cost augments it was? I know obviously we saw Zed, we see a Samira augment here. It looks like that is in fact Style and Flare, if I'm not mistaken. But I wanted to highlight actually something that I saw before this fight with Zed and Trade here. who actually had the opportunity to make a Deathblade, a third item for his Zed, and chose to make that Zeke's. And I think we want to highlight that because that probably means he's just going for Gunblade here to get that extra healing from his Zed. And just, triple item GP with Zeke's is actually one of the highest placing units in the game. Whenever you have a unit with triple Zeke's, it usually means you're in a good position for AD. And it's so interesting to see that stat and maybe see it in action here this game.
If you're getting dropped enough swords to be able to slap down 3 Zeeks, I think I would agree that you're in a pretty good position to be taking some wins, especially if you don't need that many swords to make your items. It's going to be looking good for you. There are a couple other Zed players in this lobby, though. One of them having Zed2 with Gunblade, Giant Slayer. We do see a Viego board on lock right now with a early Fiddlesticks and Echo 2. Manages to Zephyr the Camille 2. Not sure how much that is actually going to do for him in the fight. Zed is in the back line fighting against a lone Echo, while the rest of his team getting absolutely crushed by these Oxforce units. Zed will not be enough. He takes a 6-unit loss here to Volga Hamster.
Yeah, tough loss. Trade will start to bleed HP if he doesn't hit this Z2 just yet. We'll see if he can get it online. It doesn't look great for him right now with the other players hitting it. And we definitely know he's going to want this rod here to finish off that third item for his Zed. Most people have probably gotten their Gunblades online, but he's denied it by Keens.
And so at this point, he's like, well, I could make another Zeke's. Or I could just grab another sword, maybe just slam the Deathblade, or maybe just, go for triple Zeeks. You never know.
Yeah. I'm intrigued to see what he'll do here with that. I guess we'll get to see it a bit later as we swapped over to Kranos here.
An Aphelios in the shop of a comp that is probably not going to be running Aphelios.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I don't hate JG Aphelios, especially with that guard breaker on bench, and you have 2 Aphelioses. It's not that bad. You play Aphelios, you put that rod or that blue buff on Sona, and you actually have a solid board.
Yeah, he just picks up the Aphelios pair, says, maybe I can make something out of this. After we fight Asol and get some more items, he might have some kind of pivot there that he can make. But in the meantime, we have a Z2 just running through the front line here. A Cho'Gath mana reaving everything, including the Sona, who only just got another cast. Kayla's doing her best. The Cho'Gath's just chilling, ulting nothing. And the fight ends just there for Kranos to take another loss.
Yeah, and we saw, him fighting against that player with Z2, I believe that was Knickknack, who had 6 Laser Core online, as well as a Senna augment. So with it being a 3-cost augment, we saw earlier, I believe it was Super Flames running that Yuumi board. So eventually we'll go back and look at that and see if he actually ended up hitting that Nyla augment he was hoping for. Right now, though, Kranos is just rolling it down, seeing if he can hit any upgrades to try and stabilize this Heart admin board.
Absolutely. And I think I missed what admin he ended up taking in the beginning. However, he is looking to make a threat frontline Soraka admin board with some pretty decent Soraka items online. Just has to find Soraka 2, which he only has 1 of currently. But the fight is looking like it might still go in his favor. If the Soraka is able to ramp enough, she is not. And he takes a loss with 2 almost dead units there.
Yeah, it looked like it was gaining admin on our ally mana on death. I'm not 100% sure. We might have to go back and check that later if anyone else happened to see exactly which one it was. That would be awesome. And we transition over to Super Flames, who did not hit that Nyla augment, but did hit a Rammus augment without Rammus in.
Yeah, he said, you know what? If I'm not going to get offered an augment I can use, I'm still going to stay at level 6 and roll. And which is smart. He needs those level 6 odds for these 2 costs he's trying to run. He needs to be able to hit this Yuumi, which he's 2 off, this Rel he's 2 off, and this GP, which he's 3 off, but it's a little bit more of a pipe dream at level 6. So we're going to see exactly what he hits on this last roll down before he either gets knocked out or takes it all.
Yeah, I would imagine he's looking for probably a Rabadon's redemption here. So we will actually get to see the cat with a hat.
The Cat in the
Oh my god,
Hat.
it actually happened, and he's
It
hitting every
happened.
upgrade.
He is hitting left and right.
No,
Oh,
no,
oh, very
no.
interesting. I actually, I could warm up to the idea of Morello Nyla, but I do like the Archangel Yumi, especially since these fights with Nyla do tend to go pretty long. However, he is up against a duelist board, so that might not be the truest statement in the world. As we go into this fight against Trade, who is rocking a full duelist board, the backline of Felios just going off against the team, but the Nyla says, you know what? I don't really care about all that damage. I have a Rel on my side. I'm getting shielded. I'm getting resistances. I'm going to take your duelists, and nothing that I can say on stream would work here. So we're going to move into the next round.
You know, I'm sad about the Rabadon's not being on the Yumi, but I think the item selection is fine. He does need heal cut. He never hit that Sunfire, and Archangels is perfectly fine on this Yumi board with how much sustain it has.
Absolutely. I think that heal cut is going to be incredibly important for him as he moves into the final rounds of this game. We're looking at Kranos' perspective here, who did not manage to find Soraka 2, does have a solid front line here with an Urgot. He has a Zed. Oh, the Zed is not hacker. That's good news for him here. The Rammus leading the Zed away from the main fight. Soraka trying to ramp up in the process. Rammus having redemption popping off. And he is able to... Am I speaking too soon? Oh, he is able to take the fight here, just barely.
Just barely takes the fight. Still looking for some major upgrades here. You know, that Soraka 2, if he can hit it, he can stabilize pretty hard. I don't know if he actually has that Nyla in. I didn't see it anywhere. So he's playing down a hero augment at this point in the game, which is quite surprising at level 8. You know, he could probably fit it in over Urgot eventually if he actually hits that Nyla. I didn't see it on bench as well. Probably just took it 3 gold, started rolling with it to try and hit anything he could. And if he can stabilize with the Soraka 2, with windy weather, it's just stacking up. He can have a solid game. He really needs to rely on hitting these upgrades though.
Absolutely. But he's sitting there with 20 gold saying, you know what, I'm going to give it one more round. I'm going to sack one more round and see what happens here. But he is playing against Super Flames' Yumi board, which is pretty scary at this point, especially for Soraka with a multi-target spell. Looks like the Urgot CC is going to come in, hit the backline. Yumi's looking to snipe the Soraka, hits the Urgot instead. Everything is falling. Everything is dead. Kranos is 1 HP, well, 1 life at 4 HP, and we move into Volga beating Knickknack, and so there are 4 people in this lobby that are potentially 1 life from leaving the lobby.
Yeah, this lobby is clearly not as close as the previous one. We'll see if, some of these players that are close to death can pull something together here and actually hit some of those players at 30 HP and 47 down a little bit back to like 10 and 15. And then go from there and maybe pull a top 4 out from somewhere. Super Flames has stabilized pretty hard. He's hit that Yumi 3 and the Rel 3. He just needs probably that Nyla 3 at 7 and a Rammus in so he can actually use his hero augment. And here, we might see some upgrades come through for Kranos and maybe stabilize.
Yeah, sitting on an Urgot pair now opts to drop the Sona in favor of a Syndra, hoping to fill up his bench with enough things to pull in that could maybe stall the fight out long enough for his Soraka to keep ramping. Manages to not find a single extra Soraka. I think he is completely uncontested, so that is very unfortunate for him as we move into this potentially final fight where he gets shrouded immediately. He chooses to Zephyr the Renekton here. The Zed is on his backline. Urgot gets an ult off as he dies. Is it going to be enough? The Janna is fighting to keep the Soraka alive. Everyone's running to the backline to try to save the Soraka, but it is not going to work in time. His team is falling one by one. I think the Zed is going to be able to heal everything up, and it looks like Kronos is out.
Yeah, it looks like Kranos goes 8th here. Unfortunately for him, he was pretty middle of the pack in terms of placement in ACL. So maybe he can pull something together in games 3 and 4 and, find his footing again and make playoffs. I'm hoping for him to make it. I'm hoping for everyone in this game to make playoffs, seeing as I'm watching it right now. But, it's not going to all work out for everyone, and hopefully these guys who have not had the best performance today can go back and finish strong in these next couple games. As we transition to the next few players left here, Trade at 2 HP, just hoping he can win this game with 8 duelists.
Absolutely. And so at this point, he is running the 8 duelists, as you mentioned, with the contempt for the weak. The Zed is going to be zooming from target to target. It is going to come down to a Zed versus Zed fight here. And Trade Zed was not good enough to beat Knickknack's Zed, and so he will take 6th place there. Just Pain Only Pain taking a 5th, and now we are left with Knickknack, Keens, Anox, and Super Flames. Super Flames' Yumi board made it to top 4. That's good to see.
Yeah, it is so interesting. I don't think he can cap out very hard here. Did we just see that Nyla 3, or was that me just missing something? Either way, it looks like Knickknack, Keens, Anox, one of them will probably be able to take out Super Flames. Seeing as they're all hackering in against that Yumi, it might be able to get taken down before that Nyla healing can come in, before it can actually deal a lot of damage, especially with a lot of Edge of Knights. These Zeds aren't getting one shot. They get a second chance.
Absolutely. And here he is going to be opting for a little more frontline with Warmog's armor. Try to hit some of these pairs, hopefully. I say pairs. He has one pair, but try to 2-star some of his other units. The Sejuani, namely. I'm not sure what other upgrades do you think he could hit here that would actually make him in contention for top 2.
Yeah, I'm intrigued as to kind of why Knickknack is rolling here. I think, hitting that Sedge and Echo are pretty strong. But I think, they're not the lifeline of this comp. He's kind of really just looking to stay stable and maybe win some of these crazy rounds. But there are 4-cost upgrades that, you only have 30 gold. You can probably hit 9 if you're not taking 30 damage here, or 20 damage here, because I think your board does probably beat the Anox or the Super Flames. Unfortunately, he probably will lose to Keens here, though.
Yeah, and I think there's that recognition that has to happen, especially in these leagues where most of these players are challenger and are used to going 9. You have to recognize that most people that have been saving their money are going to be spiking around this 6-2 point. So you either have to consider, am I going to be strong enough to live to where I can get to level 9, or should I be rolling to find some of these upgrades? And so we see Knickknack rolling to try to find some of these upgrades. Did not find Sejuani, found Echo. We'll see if it's enough to keep up with Anox's and Keens' endgame boards. We're seeing Keens in another top 3 and another really dominant spot here.
Yeah, another top 3, has a very solid Viego board, has a Philios with 3 items as well. And eventually we'll get back and see how he finishes his game off. Right now, though, Knickknack is vying for his life. He's desperately trying to beat the Samira board.
There's so much in the way of that Zed is not able to melt through enough. That is up to this Senna to try to wrap everything up with this extra laser core damage. Renekton goes down, not quite. Oh, yep. Samira is able to steal away the fight with a couple of ace procs to seal the deal. However, Knickknack is living with 5 HP, is going to be able to try to find something else that might save him here.
Yeah, just looking for maybe the Sedge 2. I think he knows, it's going to be really hard to fight Keens with this matchup. His Zed can't really kill anything very fast with how much that Viego has double healing item. And, the Zed is getting ASOL, ulted on, and so loses that healing as much from Gunblade. But, with Shroud hitting the ASOL, with that Zed going straight onto it, it might be able to take a quick win here and fighting a Ghost.
Absolutely, and the Zed makes quick work of the ASOL on the right side. However, the Aphelios on the left side is still alive, still swinging, but a lot of Knickknack's board is still healthy enough to win that fight. Anox takes a loss to 8 HP, and it is now going to be a fight for top 2 between Knickknack and Anox, who eventually have to fight each other.
Yeah, I'd imagine because Nick Nack just fought Keen's ghost, it might be Keen's again versus Nick Nack. And, that's going to be a pretty tough thing to win here. He does hit a laser core spat, though, so he can either remove, that Renekton for something better, that Senna even. I don't think he would really remove the Yasuo as a duelist, but, he probably needs to put in something here. Even maybe the Janna with that windy weather might be worth keeping.
Yeah, and since the Sejuani is currently 1-star, I don't know how much she benefits from the Brawler synergy, so you might as well be taking Renekton out or something for Janna, but he chooses not to, decides, I'm going to just put the spat on Echo, keep my board the same, if nothing else that gives him a bit more laser core damage to be doing to the rest of the team. Fights, oh yeah, it's going to be the fight for top 2 here against Anox.
Oh, and Keith's got his entire backline shrouded, but that Zed decided to go into the front line, and unfortunately, this Asol is going to be able to get a huge cast off with this Aphelios. It's going to be really tough to win this round.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and I misspoke. This was Keen's board. I see Anox, or no, that's Knickknack watching at the top. Knickknack does go third here. Anox makes it to top 2, and we will see how that fight ends up playing out from Keen's perspective, I believe.
Okay, and Trade just left his room. Oh, there he is. He's back, and we need him to take a quick look at Keen's board here, as Keen's, I believe, has gone or is about to go 9 and try and hit these Aphelios upgrade, maybe that Mord 2. He might choose to do that on next turn, but he does actually go 9, have some of these upgrades here.
Manages to hit the Zephyr perfectly on this Viego, get the Viego out of the fight just long enough to maybe stall out a win here against Keen's, but Keen's board is looking a little too difficult to handle. Keen's manages to close out a first here. Keen's heard me on stream saying, oh, no Viego, let me show you how to play a Viego game. Takes another first, gets pinged with the not toxic at all bait emote, and that is the end of game 2. So that will lead us into the second half of the ACL games here in a minute. What did you think of that game, Dot? That was quite a game.
I thought that was quite a game. We had a lot of laser core players, a lot of Zed players, a lot of contesting, and I think what happened should happen, right? The person with laser core goes like second or third because the board doesn't cap out that strong unless you go 9, right? And we saw Keen's went 9, hit that Aphelios, hit the Viego 2, and I think that unit is right now the top of the echelon, right? Like you get an Aphelios, you have a very strong chance of winning the game, and playing it with this Renegade comp, it looked great. I mean, Keen's played a great game once again, goes first, and then is now in contention for playoffs. I like to think, me and him had similar ideas going into this weekend, right? Like it was do or die, and honestly, he did it. He did it.
Yeah, it is a almost literal first or eighth situation here, where if you don't just like take those firsts back to back to back, you are just out. And Keen said, you know what? I'm going to prove to everyone that I did not make rank 22 as a fluke. I'm going to prove that I earned that rank. I'm going to prove that I am going to earn a spot in playoffs here, and we are going to see if he can keep doing that in the next 2 games after this.
Yeah, it was awesome to see him take what he learned from solo queue, right? Like he probably has his meta read down now, it seems like, and put it into play in Attorney. And I'm hoping for him that, we all hope that our players do really well. In Corrupted Cup, we know Within is also right behind him, another player in ACL who might be able to, get a bye going into that first week of the Corrupted Cup. So let's see what they can do. But for now, it was awesome, joining you as a caster for ACL. This is a fun game.
Yeah, likewise. That was awesome.
Yeah. So what else did you think about the game? I guess I would ask.
So that game, it was really interesting to see all these players hitting these very different boards at different times. And how I say different boards, there were like 3 Zed players in that lobby. I think there were 2 Duelist players in that lobby. The lobby was a little more hand-holdy as opposed to game 1, and so we saw a bit more of that happening as we moved into game 2. But seeing the cat in the hat was pretty great. Having that moment, oh wait, we didn't even see that.
We
No, he didn't.
almost saw it. We
Almost saw it.
saw it.
We got denied the cat in the hat.
Yeah.
That might have kept him out of top 2. If he had made the cat in the hat, he might have actually, top 2. But whatever. We got the Morello Archangel, which got him into 4th place, which is still very respectable for the spot he was in. We saw the Viego Aphelios Oxforce win. Overall, really good game. Really solid performance from all the players that game, I think.
Yeah, and it looks like our time here is coming to an end for now. I guess we can shout ourselves out really quick before we head to another break. Dan, if you want to go ahead first.
Sure. I am on Twitter as PHDan with an underscore at the end, and I'm also on Twitch as PHDanTV.
Very nice, very nice. And same here. I am _TFT on Twitter. And on Twitch, I'm Dot, by the way. I play a lot of TFT, obviously, as everyone else here does. So awesome.
Yeah, had a really good time commentating, joining y'all here for ACL. Some great games to start off. Looking forward to more games after this. Like I said, after game 1, don't go anywhere.